Hey guys, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about stream tables. Now, we've learned in the past couple lessons that the Grand Canyon was once a plateau and then formed into a canyon. But the question is, how do we know that? All comes down to using models to help us understand the past and how things form. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the model of a stream table to help us understand the process. There are definitely reasons for models. Oftentimes we can't see things that happen. In this case with the Grand Canyon is enormous, and so we need to make sure that we go ahead and come up with something a little bit smaller so that we can kind of visualize the whole process. The other part with the models is it allows us to speed up things. The Grand Canyon took a long time to form, and so instead of going ahead and using rock, we're going to be going ahead and using a sand-clay mixture. And so we're going to be using sediments. That will help us speed up the process and still get the same idea of how the whole canyon was formed, but in a lot less time. Lastly, the reason why we use models is because we can change variables, and that we are able to then kind of investigate what things affect possible formation of the Grand Canyon. So you'll see that the stream table, this is kind of an example of our setup that we're going to be using. We'll have a tray that has some sediment that's in one side, and then you'll be feeding water into the stream table onto the plateau, and we will start to see then what happens with the water. So we're really going to be going ahead and taking a look at the water as well as the movement of the sediments so that we can start to focus on those landforms. What we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at erosion, which is talking about the removal or takeaway of earth materials that have already been broken apart, that are already kind of separated. When we're talking about the Grand Canyon, we first have to make sure we understand that the rock has to be weathered first and then eroded away. And so I do want to make sure we start to understand that erosion is just going ahead and taking the removal or taking away of the earth sediment that's already broken off. Now, I do want to make sure that we understand if that sediment is eroded away, it has to be deposited somewhere. And so we're going to be, that's what really what a delta is the deposition of sediment at the mouth of a river as it goes into a basin. You can see here that basically we have a whole bunch of sediment that was being carried down by a stream and is being deposited into a lake. Up here you'll see that we have a river that's going ahead and being deposited into an ocean. And so it's one of those things that this sediment that's being carried away by fields, by streams, by topsoil, it's being slowly carried down, and then as the river's going ahead and going into the ocean, it changes its speed, and so it starts to settle out into this formation called a delta. So here is our stream table, and I want to make sure that we're able to not only pinpoint and see an actual the process, but be able to identify the landforms. We will be also talking about deposition of the sediments that happen to deposit down into the basin. You'll learn, and we'll start to focus on that some sediments are carried further away just because of their size, and so we're going to be also paying attention to those kind of things in our stream table experiments. The last thing I want to make sure we clearly understand is that not all rock or sediment is eroded away at the same rate, and so we'll be starting to talk about differential erosion. Certain rocks do erode at a slower rate than others. So in our stream table study, I do want to make sure we understand the basic process, and so you do need to make sure you write these steps down. We'll start off with our plateau. We'll start to then go ahead and open up the tube so we can slowly let the water out. There are going to be some experiments where you're going at a fast rate versus a slow rate, so we'll need to make sure that we can adjust that. Then we'll go ahead and, as we're doing the experiments, observe the movement of the water and the sediment. Now this will take some time, so we'll actually go ahead and be using a document between multiple classes so that we can see the observations over a period of a day. And then we'll also be identifying our landforms. If you happen to have any questions, make sure you go ahead and you let me know, but I do want to make sure that we're ready and set to go for our stream table experiments and that we're understanding the process. I'll see you in class.